Hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar on developing positive mental health during your first professional role. Thanks so much to everyone who's joined us today. If you have any questions throughout the session, you'll have a chance to ask via our Q&A function, and our speakers will respond to your questions at the end of the session. This webinar is brought to you in partnership with the Commonwealth, so at this point we'd like to show our appreciation to the Commonwealth for their role in making this webinar possible. The Commonwealth Year of Youth is running from 2023 to 2024, and the Commonwealth is celebrating by running a programme of initiatives to address global issues that face young people, such as climate change and unemployment, to name a few. This is our final webinar in a three-part series that has been dedicated to empowering young people. Today's session is aimed at young professionals across the Commonwealth. However, people at other stages of their career and in countries outside of the Commonwealth are very welcome to join. My name is Penny, and I'm here to represent the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health, or IOSH, who are the chartered body for health and safety professionals. We are a charity that has a simple vision, which is to create a safe and healthy world of work for everyone. IOSH is also one of the 89 accredited organisations in the Commonwealth, and we believe that everyone deserves to go home from work at the end of the day feeling both physically and mentally safe and well. Now, my role today will be to facilitate the webinar, and I'm really pleased to be joined by two of our expert speakers today, Jamela and Zion. Jamela and Zion have both really kindly volunteered their time to be with us today, so I'd like to say a massive thank you to them both for volunteering their time and their expertise. I'm going to pass to Jamela to introduce herself and then over to Zion.
Thank you so much, Penny. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever you might be joining. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you today to discuss positive mental health in your first professional role. My name is Jamela Chesney, and I'm based in Guyana. I'm an environmentalist. So my background is in climate change policy, but in my free time, I also mentor and coach young professionals in their academic as well as work life. And so I'm happy to impart some knowledge and some tips today in our session. Looking forward to this talk.
Thanks, Jamela. And over to you, Zion.
Hi, thank you very much for having me, Penny, and thank you everyone for joining this very important webinar. My name is Zion. I'm rightly introduced. I'm the founder of the Mandate Head of Initiative, mental health reforms organization based in Nigeria, and also the convener of the Association of Mental Health Reforms Organizations in Africa, where we are leading campaigns and advocacies around mental health reforms that we need to enhance mental health access in Africa. Thank you very much for having me. I look forward to a very interactive conversation on this webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, Zion. Thanks, Jamela. So as you can see, we obviously got two expert speakers who are going to run our session today. Just before we get into the content of the webinar, we did want to provide just a bit of an outline so you know what to expect from the next hour session. So within the next hour, we're going to discuss what is positive mental health and how can it impact you in your job and in your health. We'll look at tools and techniques that you may be able to implement within and outside of your work life to benefit your mental health. And we'll hear from Jamela and Zion around their personal experiences of mental health within the workplace. And finally, there will be an opportunity to ask any questions at the end of the session through our Q&A function. Now, obviously, the focus of the session today is going to be around mental health. So before I pass to Zion to discuss this in more detail, we thought it'd be good to hear from you guys in the audience around what is your understanding of mental health. So if you're happy to share, please in the comments or the chat function within Zoom, please let us know what mental health means to you. What would your definition and your understanding be of this topic? We're really looking forward to seeing lots of your responses within the chat. We'll keep an eye on everyone's response as we get into the session, and we'll pass over to Zion to discuss this further.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Penny, for that introduction. I really want to trust that we're going to be having a very insightful conversation in this call. Would you kindly share the presentation. Share screen, please.
Sion, you should be able to see the presentation on the screen. Is that not the case?
Oh, yes. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. So very quickly, the way of introducing us to this particular conversation for this webinar, it's very important to touch base with some few lines of definitions, and then what we have on the screen is just a simple two definition on what exactly is mental health. I would not want any of us to assume that this subject matter of mental health is been maybe about persons who are put on drugs or who are homeless or who are people from the school, but I mean, it's just the flip other side of the subject matter where we're looking at maybe mental disorders and mental conditions, right? Like some chronic mental health disease. But now we want to first talk about very important here. We really understand to our understanding of what exactly is mental health. So again, we see it as a state of mental well-being that enables you to cope with stresses and being able to contribute to a community. Another line of definition again by the definition will tell us that this is where we see the integral component of health, overall health. Mental health is a very integral component of health in its totality, where we see that the individual's ability to make sound decisions, to build relationships, and to also contribute or be productive remains very key in the definition of what exactly mental health is about. So in summary, 4 things that you must try to remember in defining mental health is number 1, it's a state of well-being where you as a person, you are able to realize or identify your potential ability. You are able to come up with coping mechanisms and coping with daily stresses of life, and you are able to be productive. And lastly, you are able to contribute to your community. That sums up the definition of what mental health is about. And I want to believe that we look at that critically as we reflect going forward on this interaction. Next again, why is mental health important? Why do we have to bother about prioritizing mental health? Okay, you just need to know that it makes you just enjoy life. Living and prioritizing your mental well-being will always make you to enjoy life in its fulfillment. It helps you to calm, it helps to comfort yourself, it helps you cope with your fears and uncertainty. It also helps you to keep and maintain good relationship with others, right? I would just like to just mention just a few more things to help you prioritize and see reasons why you must take care of your mental health. It's very crucial for your professional, very crucial. The likes, just some few things again to add to this point. High stress level at the workplace environment cannot be overemphasized. Therefore, the demands of starting a career can be overwhelming with pressures to perform, to meet deadlines, and to balance work with personal life. Hence, to prioritize your mental health remains very critical so that you don't get to experience chronic stress that can lead to burnout, anxiety, depression, if not managed properly. Again, why you must count it very important to look after your mental health is for sustaining productivity. Mental health directly impacts on cognitive function like concentration, making decisions, or creativity. So by maintaining a good mental health, young professionals can perform better and sustain high levels of productivity. Another reason why you must count this very important is long-term career success. Early in your careers as professionals, you need to set patterns that can last a lifetime. Now, prioritizing mental health helps you to be resilient and coping mechanisms, which are essential for long-term career success and personal fulfillment. I can't go over and over again, but I just needed to know that it is really important for you to look after your mental health. Okay, for work-life balance, for stigma reduction, for physical health. I mean, there are just so many reasons why you need to look out and prioritize your mental health. Okay, one of it is going to be that to maintain a positive impact on relationships. Okay, now just as we progress, I want to ask this question: what factors can affect our mental health? Our distinguished participants, like I said, I would be very happy if this is going to be very interactive, right? I would like to feel your pauses. I would like to feel your perceptions on this topic. Can you please type in the chat box what factors you think as an individual, as a professional, as a person, right? What are the factors that you think can affect your mental health? I want to check the chat box now. I know Penny's going to be helping me with that also. I really want to see some few comments. Thank you very much, Christine. Thank you for your points. I'm looking forward for more points, guys. Show me some care. Please do drop some points. Let's do this together. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you, Mariam. I'm super excited. Great. Great. Thank you. Thank you so very much for all of your input. Working with difficult people, employment factors, okay, work demand, work environment, personal losses, increased workload, job anxiety, fantastic, poor relationship, work bullying, fantastic. I have a very, very intelligent, fabulous participant, great audience. Thank you very much for all of these. I do appreciate. Thank you very much, Hussein. Thank you very much for all of your answers and responses. They are very, very correct. All of these we've mentioned in the chat box truly can affect our mental health. They can truly, in many ways, affect our mental health. I would like to please take note of it. We would be again re-echoing some of the points being mentioned, and we'll try to make emphasis on them just to clarify some things and drive home some point. Next slide. Thanks, Penny. Now we want to look at what can impact mental health. What exactly are some of these things? Just like we just mentioned in the previous slide, that we've seen in the previous slide, what are some of the things that can impact our mental health? I will want to just mention a few that these things are not far-fetched from us. The things that can influence our mental health are very close to us. Okay, and I want us to look at it from 2 points now. I want us to look at it from both the positive factors that can impact on our mental health, and then we're also going to be looking at the negative factors that can influence our mental health. I like to reassure you that our mental health and mental well-being can be influenced by a variety of factors, both positive and negative. And just to mention the positive, a few of them will be supportive relationships. supportive relationship stands out for me because where there are strong connections with family, friends, and colleagues, it provides emotional support and a sense of belonging, which enhances mental health, mental well-being. Another point again I would like to please pin down is regular exercise. Regular exercise also is a factor that can impact positively our mental health. Okay, of course, you might be aware, physical activities releases endorphins, which are natural mood lifters. Okay, so when we exercise regularly, it can reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. Another thing again is healthy diet, right? I hope to speak about healthy diets, but just for now, what I would like to think about healthy diet as a factor that can impact our mental health is that a balanced diet rich in nutrients supports the brain's function and overall mental well. When you are able to take in rich food, it really helps. It truly helps. Trust me, it truly helps. Now, another thing again, I just want to mention again as one of the factors that can also impact on our mental health positively is adequate sleep. Please do not trivialize your sleep time. Adequate sleep, quality sleep is essential for mental health. It helps us, it helps our brain, to process our emotions, to consolidate memories, and even recharge for better days ahead. So adequate sleep is very critical. Okay, mindfulness, meditation, purpose, and fulfillment, all these will help you see that your mental health is positively, being impacted. Also, when we have access to mental health resources, it will help us a great deal. Access to mental health resources will truly help a great deal to impact on our mental health. When you have access to quality resources, at the likes of availability to therapy, counseling, and mental health education, it will empower you as an individual to manage your mental health effectively. Let me just mention a few things that also stand out as negative factors that impact our mental health. One of it is chronic stress, right? Where we experience prolonged exposure to stress, whether from work, relationship, or financial pressure, it can lead to anxiety, depression, and burnout, and it's not good for our mental health. Another thing is isolation and loneliness. If this resonates to you in any means, please note that it can impact negatively on your mental well-being. Okay, so lack of social connection or feeling of isolation can significantly harm or hurt or impact your mental well-being, leading to depression and anxiety. Another thing again you might want to check out again is unhealthy lifestyle choices, poor diet, lack of exercise, excessive alcohol consumption, substance misuse, or the like, can negatively impact on your mental health. Okay, sleep deprivation is another thing again. I already mentioned earlier that adequate sleep will help us. So the flip side of it is sleep deprivation. Okay. Also, again, negative work environment can impact when you are in a toxic workplace, characterized by high demand, low control, lack of support. It can lead to stress, and it will definitely impact negatively on your mental health. Thank you very much, Penny. So, signs of good mental health. Okay, so what we have here, wanted to please know that these are signs that tells that your mental health is in order. Please do remember that signs of good mental health are indicators that someone is functioning well psychologically and emotionally, right? So feeling optimistic, positive relationship with others, personal growth and development, able to cope with stress. Remember, your ability to come up with coping mechanisms and deal with stressors daily is a sign of good mental health. Sleeping well, socializing, and many others are a sign of good mental health. Just to say a little more on these, will be that please also note that your emotional stability is a sign of good mental health. Okay, when you have balanced mood, okay, consistently experiencing a range of emotions appropriate to situations which have the ability to, which you come up with the ability to manage them and recover from negative emotions like anger, sadness, frustration, will in that you are leading a good mental health life. And again, just to mention another under this emotional stability will be resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks and adopt change and also continue moving forward even after facing challenges or setbacks is very important. They are clear indicators that you are experiencing a good mental health. Also, again, some few points that you might want to remember talking about good mental health is positive self-perception. Your self-acceptance is very important. Your confidence and self-esteem is very critical. Feeling good about oneself and one's ability without being overly critical or dependent on external validation is very important for good mental health. Also, again, healthy relationships ensure that your strong social connections are very, very important. I said this in the beginning of my presentation. Ensure that you look out for healthy relationships, whether at the family, whether at the work front. Ensure you look out for quality relationship, which will be characterized by mutual respect, support, and effective communication, empathy, and compassion. All of these are what we should look out for in healthy relationship. Another thing again that will characterize signs of good mental health will be effective stress management. You must be able to effectively come up with personal coping skills. And that's why from the first line of WHO definition of mental health, they tell you is a state of well-being where you, excuse me, you are as an individual, you are able to recognize or realize your potential or ability, knowing yourself, discovering yourself. So until you're able to know yourself, discover yourself, coming up with coping skills will be a little bit difficult. But having understood yourself, ability, and all about yourself, your makeup, and all about your emotions, then you can simply or easily come up with coping skills. And also, you're able to be calm under pressure. Another thing, again, I would like to quickly mention here for signs of good mental health is adaptability and flexibility. It is very important that you operate open-mindedness, willingness to consider new ideas and experiences at the workplace, and also adopt to changing circumstances without becoming overwhelmed. Very important. Very, very important. Also, problem-solving skills as part of that adaptability and flexibility is what you must look out for, right? So the ability to approach problems logically and find solutions rather than becoming stuck or paralyzed by indecision is a sign of good mental health. Please, next slide. Thank you. So you might want to look at some of these maybe like clear and purposeful thinking, or maybe enjoying and making sure that you're enjoying life optimally as part of the good signs of good mental health. But now talking about signs for poor mental health, you can see this particular slide. There's just a very beautiful lady. Her eyes are closed. We can't just say exactly what she's doing, but we can just assume that she's thinking or she's imagining something. But please hear me. When we talk about signs of poor mental health, there are things that are very important that we take into cognizance. The first is persistent sadness or mood changes, right? So chronic sadness or depression is going to be very critical for us. However, it's very important that we also look at engage with where there is disharmony or separation, or where there's no a well fused relationship with family and friends is critical. Where there's reduced ability to concentrate, where there's feeling of stress all day long and all time, where there are patterns of sleep problems, okay, or maybe social settings is where you see yourself not always wanting to be there. or maybe you just always just want to be quiet and just be let alone. Okay, these are indicators that your mental health is challenged, or maybe they should just be for you red flags that you need to look inward. Okay, so please note that signs of negative mental health can manifest in various emotional, behavioral, or physical ways. Okay, so let's recognize them early and let's please attend to them on time. Okay, thank you again for the next slide. Mental health in workplace. Very quickly again, I want to just ask this question. When we say that workplace impact on mental health, what comes to your mind? Can you just drop something for me quickly in just 30 seconds? Fastest fingers, please. Workplace impact on mental health. What comes to your mind? I need your help. We want to look at how your workplace can have positive or negative impact on your mental health. Please drop some few things for me. Thanks a lot, Miriam. Miriam Mustafa, thank you. Oh, great, great. Resultant effects of mental health. Great, thank you very much. Amazing, amazing. Let me just quickly thanks for sharing your views. Okay, fantastic. It's either positive or negative. Short thoughts. Great. All right. Thank you very much for all of that. Thank you. Your relationship. Okay, quite a lot of points are already being turned down in our chat box. You may want to peep in there to see some of the very exciting things that have been shared by the amazing participants. Now, let me just quickly say that, guys, when we talk about workplace, it truly can have a significant impact on individuals. Okay, it can influence your mental health both positively or negatively. Now, one of the things you just want to quickly understand is that for positive workplace impact, it could be supportive work environment, right? Supportive work environment where you have collaboration and teamwork, inclusive culture, and then the next point would be work-life balance. We speak about work-life balance in a moment, but again, it just speaks essentially to the flexibility of work arrangements. Okay, recognition and reward. Okay, these are all positive things that can happen, that workplace can make happen for your mental health. Okay, and also mental health resources that can be available at your disposal at the workplace. Clear communication and leadership. These are things that we can stand to see positively coming from mental health on our coming from workplace on our mental health. Let me quickly mention some of the positive workplace environment as we have on the slide right now. Thank you very much, Penny. I know we have wasted time. A workplace environment. We have that six support. We have flexible working. Fantastic, right? Employee support scheme. Fantastic. I mean, some workplaces do not have this in place. Do not have work policies. They don't have SOPs that support employees' mental well-being, and it's very, very sad to say the least. Okay, so reasonable adjustment is also very fantastic, All and manageable workloads. All these are positive in from the workplace as touching our mental health and well-being in the workplace as professionals, as young professionals. Next slide. So for the negative work environment will be a change demand on demands and workload. This was also mentioned by some of the participants earlier, where we look at the kind of demands that come from our supervisors, the employers, and even some of our peer or colleagues in the workplace can be very, very crazy, and it's something to really look closely at. Okay, lack of control. Okay, lack of support. Communication, where there's bridging communication or not sufficient communication, where leadership is not taking the rightful lead. It's going to be a problem, and going to also cause as a negative impact on our mental well-being in the workplace. Also, again, organizational culture. Culture again is something that I wish you can speak some more on. But again, remember that different employers and different organizations have their culture. So what I want to say here is, whatever your culture is, or whatever the culture you're experiencing in your work setting, please, if it's not enhancing the mental well-being or the optimal productivity of the employees, then something is wrong. That culture should be reviewed. I will suggest so. And then also workplace relationships. Very, very, very critical. These are also some of the negative workplace environment. And also, just to again reemphasize all of these points, they create toxic work environment, where you also find that it directly impacts on the mental well-being of young professionals. Okay, all of some of these will breed bullying and harassment, and poor management, lack of job security, and uncertainty about the future from the young professionals. And it's something very critical that I think we should want to give attention to. If you're on this call as an employee, please look at see how you can also take some of these few learnings from here and educate your supervisors or line managers. Also, if you are on this call and you are an employer, or you are on the management level in the organization, please see how some of these can be reviewed and looked upon. Isolation and lack of support is very critical, right? As a negative impact to the mental well-being of young professionals in the workplace or the work environment. Okay, poor social connections is a problem. Lack of peer support. The role of ambiguity and conflict. Roles should not be ambiguous. Roles at the work front for young professionals, if you want them to be optimally productive, should be very clear. Where there are conflicts, which we cannot excuse totally in the workplace, please let it be well managed and managed right on time. Unclear job expectations are very, very, very strong elements that impact negatively from the work environment on the mental health of our young professionals. Let me just quickly mention that some of the impacts that we might see negatively in the work environment, which can severely impact on individuals' mental health, leading to issues such as burnout, stress, anxiety, and depression. We will be depression and burnout, right? I mean to say burnout. Now, on that burnout, please, it's very important that emotional exhaustion should not be taken lightly. Let's look out for negative work environment, that will often lead to chronic emotional exhaustion. Employees feel drained and overwhelmed and unable to meet constant demands where this is happening. Please, let's not overlook this. Let's give attention to it. Where you're experiencing this, please seek out for help. Okay, another thing again will be chronic stress, and then anxiety, and then the likes of panic attack, constant worry, social anxiety, and so many other things can be part of the negative things that can impact on our mental well-being at the workplace. Now, importance of work-life balance. I tend to emphasize on this. I wish I can share. There's a book I launched last year called Prioritizing Mental Health in the Workplace, okay, and Everyday Life. I hope to share. I might share the link. I think it's on Amazon, it's also on Seller. I wish there's just so. Oh no, time is just. Forgive me, but please let me say that we can't overemphasize on the importance of work-life balance on the subject matter of well-being or mental health for young professionals. As young professionals, yes, we come with full of energy to the workplace, and we want to dissipate those energies and work and earn commendations and grow in our career in our workplace. However, it is very important to say here that we must prioritize work-life balance. If at all, we must enjoy mental health and well-being. Now, let me say very quickly here that work-life balance is essential for maintaining overall well-being, productivity, and long-term success. As young professionals, you want if productivity and long-term success in your career is what you want to enjoy, then I welcome you to embracing and prioritizing the importance of work-life balance. You must be able to balance your work life. Okay? This will help you to reduce stress. This will help you to balance work between professional life and personal life. This will help you prevent burnout. This will help you improve emotional health. This will help improve your physical health, better health outcomes. It will also help you to increase energy level, to increase your productivity and performance. Let me say again that it will enhance you to build and enjoy better relationships. Stronger and personal relationships are built when you are able to balance your work. Okay, where your work is not it's not suffering, where your family life or your personal relationship is not suffering. Okay, it will help you enjoy personal and professional growth. Let me oh there just to maybe share my personal experience in terms of this subject matter. It's very important that we try to ensure that there is positive organizational culture. One of the things I've seen in my little 9 years experience in the mental health sector in Nigeria and across Africa is in the workplace, our culture is excusing or permitting stigma. Where there is stigma on the subject matter of mental health or mental well-being in the workplace, a lot of things will go wrong. Okay, so I want to say that in our organizational culture, let's promote a positive one. And promoting a work-life balance will foster positive organizational structure where employees feel valued and supported, where they also feel that their mental health is not being stigmatized. There shouldn't be anything wrong with any employee coming down to say, I need a leave because I need to take care of my mental health. We should give attention to the mental health of our employees as we will give attention to their physical health. Now, let me also say that we should please, I have seen stigma and cultural barriers as a big problem. I've seen that there are limited awareness and education in the workplaces. I've seen that over and over again. Low awareness level is critical and is bad to ensuring that employees enjoy mental health and mental well-being at the workplaces. So we must, one of the objectives of my book is also to increase, in all levels, awareness on mental health in the workplace. One of the things, again, I would like to quickly say as I round up, thank you very much for being generous with Penny, is access to mental health care services are very limited in the workplace, especially in terms of ratio to cost barriers. Please, let's see how we can accelerate and enhance access to mental health services across the workplaces, and barriers as it relates to out-of-pocket payment for mental health care should be looked at. Not very few mental health insurance schemes cover mental health issues. So let's see how this can be well taken care of. Thank you very much for your time. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to speak on this matter. Thank you very much, Benny. Thank you very much, Jamila. And thank you very much, distinguished audience. and participants for the opportunity and good listening and good participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Zion, for a great presentation and for an amazing start to this talk. I'm really passionate about this subject, and Zion touched on so many great points. And I think it's important to set definitions and indicators of positive and negative mental health. And so in my part of the presentation, I'll talk about tools and resources that you can seek in this first professional role as a young person, and also some tips that I'll share. So I'm mindful of time. I'll try to keep my part of the presentation to 10 minutes because I do want to hear from the audience. I want this to be as engaging as possible. So stay tuned. So in my role, I can remember my first professional role about 7 years ago. It's a very different context than what we have now. I think since the pandemic, there's been an introduction of remote working, hybrid working. There's more conversation about work-life balance. And so it's a completely different context, but I can understand if you're a young professional and it is your first role there, you can feel pressure to perform, pressure to give in to stress. You can feel as though your employers are doing you a favor by hiring you. And so you have to go out of your way to be as productive as possible. And I'm here to remind you that that's not the case. If you have gone through the role of, if you've gone through interviews and the screening process, you deserve to be in the role that you have. And, you might be working to pay off student debt. You might be working as the first person working in your family. So there are a lot of personal pressures that you might have. And so I hope that I can give you some tips and suggestions to ensure that you're taking care of yourself in your first role. So before I go on, I'd like you to drop in your chat, how do you look after your mental health in the workplace? What are some tips and tricks that you employ? And hopefully I'll be able to touch on them as I go on. Firstly, I would recommend looking after yourself. I know Zion would have spoken on work-life balance, burnout, taking breaks, self-care. And so I do want to remind you to take regular breaks, take advantage of your lunch hour. Make sure you use your lunch hour every single time. For some of you, it might not be paid, so there's no obligation for you to work during your lunch hour. Use your annual leave allowances adequately. Seek support. If there are mental health services at your workplace, do take full advantage of it. Speak to your employer, understand what your rights are as an employee. If you can make adjustments to your work schedule, if you can do part-time work instead of full-time. And also lean on your community. This is a new stage in your life. It's your first working role, if not. Maybe your first working role after taking maternity leave, after taking a break. And so these are many things that you may not be aware of. Secondly, build a community. I know they say that coworkers are not your friends, which may be the case, but it's not always the case. Lean on your family, your friends, your religious community. Let them support you in this new stage of life. And it's important to know that you're not alone in these experiences. You want to feel like you belong. You want to know that you have persons around you who can guide you through this new stage of life. Thirdly, set boundaries. This is so important and this is so key. As a young professional, you may feel the pressure that you must always be available to your employer. You have to deliver at all times, which is not always possible. There's so many things that can come your way during the day. Even if you have, in terms of reference, you have a job description. And I know Zion spoke about the issues of having ambiguous work. I know there's some employers who may give you a job description and then you start working and you realize you're not doing what you expected to do. So make that known that these are your qualifications. This is what you came to do. And it's, this is what you expect. You have a right to do that. Don't work on weekends if you don't have to, if you're not being paid to work on weekends. That's a promise that I made to myself. And say no when you need to. No is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain. You have your own personal life to balance as well. And so your professional work is a part of your life. It's not your entire existence. So do set boundaries when you need to. And seek support. There's a statistic from the World Health Organization that 15% of working age adults estimated to have a mental health disorder in 2019. And following the pandemic in 2020, there's been an uprise of anxiety and depression amongst young people. So don't feel as if you're isolated in these emotions, and these feelings are completely natural. You're navigating a new phase of life. And so you're not expected to have all the answers. And so towards the end of the presentation, I'll share some resources that you can take advantage of. So in the chat, I'd like you to share, how do you look after your mental health outside of the workplace? It's so important to have work-life balance. Personally, I'm really into fitness. I try to do jogging and dancing as much as possible. I'm also a creative writer, so I do read and write poetry now and then. And I understand that these are outlets that are important to me. I see in the chat, spending time with family, running, meditation. Yes, we'll talk about meditation. So great answers. Firstly, physical activity and healthy eating. Zion would have touched on this, the importance of balanced nutrition, of moving, staying active, especially if you work behind a desk and you're behind a screen 8 hours a day. It's important to take breaks, to walk outside, to stretch your legs, to stay active as much as possible. Secondly, socializing with your coworkers, with other staff at your office, as well as outside of your office. If there are any maintenance staff, get to know the people around you, because these are people that you're going to be spending time with 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. If so, well, they're now the introduction of the 4-day work week, which came about after the pandemic. So I think society is open to change and open to innovating, the workplace and systems. And so I hope this continues. But do familiarize yourself with these things when you're starting your job. And finally, mindfulness, meditation, and faith. This was stated in the chat, but practicing awareness and inner peace. Please don't think that because you make a mistake at your first job, you're going to get fired. There's so many protections that are in place for you as an employee. And if there are any employers in the chat, they would say that their notice periods, there's performance evaluations. There are many increments where you can have a face-to-face and one-on-one contact with your supervisor, with your manager. And this is your time to speak up. This is your time to advocate for yourself, to learn about the policies that are in place at your place of work. And you can only advocate for yourself if you have the information. Practice meditation if you do, but I also added faith, if you have a faith background, whatever your religion might be. And if that gives you peace, please take advantage of that as much as possible. Finally, I'll end with tools and resources that you can use. There are 2 apps called Headspace and Calm that I think they're internationally available. I think most persons have access to a smartphone and internet, so please take advantage of that. BetterHelp is something I've used personally. It's sort of a digitized therapy and psychological and counseling service. You're paired with a therapist or counselor, and you can set sessions. It is paid. I'm not sure if there are any free versions available, but it is a paid service. But that way you can ensure that you have dedicated and personalized help from a licensed professional. And so if your faith background is not enough and you want to have more, tailored psychiatric support, that's also available. And also you have your own local context in your community. If your local clinics or hospitals offer counseling services, please seek those out and take full advantage to ensure that you can maintain positive health, positive physical and mental health. They're both important. And so I'd like to end with top tips that I would advise in your first professional role, or even if you're a seasoned professional, whatever it may be. Take ownership of your well-being. It is your responsibility. It's no one else's responsibility. You can't give to others if you're pouring from an empty cup. So there's nothing wrong with being selfish and focusing on yourself when you need to. And there's no shame in asking for help. You know, I live in a society where speaking about mental illness is still taboo, unfortunately, but there are more and more conversations that are emerging on that front, and I hope that they continue. And secondly, self-care, whatever self-care looks like to you. Personally, for me, is going to the salon, but that might not be the case for everyone. So just understanding, you know, what do you need to maintain balance in your professional life? Sign off when you need to. You're not getting paid to work on weekends. You're not getting paid to work during lunch hour. Sure, you can give your best. It's your first professional role. You want to set a good impression, but it's not your entire life, okay? So thank you so much. I'll end here and then I'll hand over to Zion to give your tips. And then I look forward to the questions from the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janita, for that awesome presentation. So I just give some two tips for me on this matter is, please, like we already have said, establish clear boundaries. Okay, to enjoy the work-life balance, you must be able to set clear boundaries. Your ability to set clear boundaries will help your professional life, your personal life, and ensuring that there are clear times to rest, clear times to recharge, re-engage, you know, and also be with your family. Do not allow any part of you to suffer because you want to prove a point in the workplace. Okay, the family shouldn't suffer, your personal life shouldn't suffer, and your professional life also should not suffer. And to do that, I would like to also give another tip to time management. Try to prioritize your tax effectively, delegate where it is necessary, and avoid over commitment. Do not, if you can, rope yourself into too much commitment that will hurt your mental health. Just like Jamila said, you don't have to, but when you're not paid for work over weekend or over time, then why commit to that when you can use that time to give attention to your personal life, personal hygiene, or maybe even your family. So this time management is very critical. Also, try to also practice self-care regularly. Self-care is very important. You must start to ensure that you prioritize regular exercise, like people know that just like gymming, running. So please prioritize your self-care regularly. Okay, it will really help. It will really help. Mindfulness and meditation is something that already mentioned. Let us engage that. These are just some pieces probably and very hopeful that all of the things I've mentioned here will help us all lead a quality, mentally healthy lives in our workplaces. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Zion, and thanks, Jamila. Really interesting session. I know there's been lots of information covered in the presentation, and I'm sure our audience are really looking forward to asking you both some questions. So for our audience on the call, please feel free to put your questions into our Q&A box box and let us know if you've got anything you would like us to ask Jamila and Zion. Due to time, we may not get through everyone's question, but we will try to answer as many as possible. And we'll theme some questions if people are asking similar sorts of questions. So let's get straight into it. We have had some questions come into the chat function already. Jamila, I'll direct this first one to you. So someone has asked, why do you think in 2024 employers and companies still find it hard to sort of understand and see the importance of how mental health can impact its workers?
Thanks for that question. Employers are people. I think if we go down to the most fundamental level, they may not be a personal understanding of the importance of mental health and that it's on the same level as physical health. And so if those conversations and those understandings are not common, then even addressing them, you can't even get to that point. It is unfortunate. I think there's still a lot of cultural stigma in various societies. A lot of employers feel because you're being paid for a role that they could have given to someone else, you should be grateful. So who are you to ask for anything else? Who are you to demand other levels of support? So, which is why I said it's the employee's job to advocate for themselves. Sometimes there's unions that you can join, or they're external, impartial resources that may be affordable or free in some cases that you can take advantage of to represent you as an employee. If you feel that you're being taken advantage of, you're not cared for in the workplace. So I wish things were different, but hopefully in future they improve.
Thanks, Jamila. Really useful response and an interesting question because I guess it's something that's on a lot of people's mind. Obviously, all our audience are interested in the topic of mental health, which is why they're here today. But yeah, we don't see that across all of our society, do we? So yeah, thank you for your question, and Jamila, thanks for a really useful response. Please do feel free to put your questions in the Q&A function on Zoom if you have anything you would like to ask. Zion, we'll direct this next question to you. So someone has asked, if they already have an existing mental health condition, how can they ask their employer for support and how can they have that conversation?
Awesome. That's very, very good. You see, I'm happy that you are able to be confident to know that, okay, yes, I have already been able to identify that there is a mental health problem. So that's for me very important. But then you can just feel very comfortable to approach your employer the same way you want to approach him for your leave or for any other support in the workplace. You shouldn't think there should be any mystical ways of approaching your employer because it is mental health. The same way you can approach them because you want to get a leave that is due to you, or you want to approach them for a pass of something, or for a need that can help you work well, or for a request that can for an equipment in your office that can help you function better. The same way, do not think because it is mental health there should be a kind of you have to put it in another way, or there should be a unique. No. Approach it the same way. Meet whoever is responsible, your HR or your direct supervisor, and let them know this is how I feel about my mental health. I wish to take a leave to go support myself or go for treatment. As a matter of fact, every workplace in this 21st century should have a support system in their organization. In that, if somebody comes to say that I'm coming down with mental health issues, you should have counselors, you should have some mental health support staff that can be able to attend immediately to that, okay? And then you can now push it for referrals where there's need for that support. So please feel very comfortable and approach your employer or your organization or whoever it is that you think you need to your line of communication should hit directly. Please feel free to approach them over your mental health needs.
Thanks, Zion. That's really useful advice.
For example,
and
for us in
practical.
Nigeria,
Thanks, Zion. Yeah, useful advice and practical advice too, because it's difficult to have those conversations sometimes. So it's good to hear your experience there. We do have time for one final question. Jamila, I'll come to you for this question. So someone has mentioned that within sort of middle management in an organisation, they've noticed that higher managers and maybe senior leaders, they don't always support initiatives to sort of improve employees' mental health. So they've asked, how can we educate middle management managers to have more sense of a human touch and to be more sort of personable and relatable perhaps when having conversations around mental health with their team?
Right. Thank you so much. I think even before we get to the topic of mental health, I think it's important to address the sources. Sometimes it's a heavy workload. The team is understaffed. There's no clear direction on goals or deliverables. And so with middle management, I mean, it's in their best interest because your organization may have a high attrition rate because employers are not being taken care of, their needs are not being met. And so it's a loss to you as an organization if you don't even address these sources before we even get to the mental health issue. So with managers and supervisors, I think there needs to be regular check-ins with your team. Understand that they're people first before they're your employees. They're not a number. And the image of your organization really really depends on the quality of work, but also the quality, the well-being of your staff and your employees. And so it's always in the best interest of the organization to ensure that needs are being met and any grievances are being addressed as soon as possible. So see if there's a heavy workload, if there are changes that can be made to management styles, to and so on. So that would be my advice.
Thanks, Jamila. And I guess that goes back to a lot of what was covered in the presentation, really. It's piecing together all those bits around like organisational culture and individual well-being to obviously change that shift, isn't it, from managers and also employees. Thanks so much. That was really useful. We are coming close to our time now, so I'll share my screen for one final time just to close our session. So at the end of our webinars, we do always like to give our participants who've listened today something practical that they can do after the session to learn more or to find out more. So our suggestions for you is to consider the tools and techniques that we've discussed today. Zion gave lots of information at the start of our presentation around things like work-life balance. Jamila's discussed techniques like meditation, diet and lifestyle, self-care. Think about these techniques and tools we've talked through today and maybe implement one or two of those things. So is there something new you could start from today that might have a positive impact on your mental health? And if so, why not try it? Try something new and see how it benefits you. Finally, if you did want to find out more about how IOSH and the Commonwealth are supporting young people, do look on our website or on our social media channels for more information. So all that's left to say now is a massive thank you to our speakers, Jamila and Zion. You've had really excellent contributions and insights today. I know I've personally learned a lot from you both, and I'm sure our audience have really valued your insights today. So thank you very much for your time and for volunteering for the session today. Thank you to the Commonwealth for facilitating and supporting the session today and making this possible. And a massive thank you to all our audience and everyone who's joined our webinar today. Thank you for engaging throughout the session, for asking lots of great questions, and for your willingness to learn more and to join today. We hope you found the webinar really useful and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.